Okay, hello, good morning. So, I'm watching this Under the Skin interview with Douglas Rushkoff, and what a tribute to psychedelics this man is, but what a tribute to just so much he is, and he is the soul that he talks about. It's like literally making me tear up how much there is to you and how much you have to say about just everything. He is an aquifer of inspiration, and I think that has to do with this direct connect from tapping into the beyond and putting that ego down, and now there's so much to you. It's almost ironic. But so anyways, so thank you so much. I'm like so interested in checking out things that you've made or been part of now, and it's like, to me, I'm watching this and I'm like I feel like it's like in such an insane world there's like this moment and you go, okay, so people are still worth it. People still are interesting, or people still are connected to some larger soul. Okay, like just a great reminder for someone that's experienced so many soulless people, really. And oh my God, so I listen. I don't understand the perfect thing. I don't, uh, because it's not genuinely my experience. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's some text I didn't send, or I don't know if that's something to do with body this or that, or I don't know. But as I'm listening to this interview, I realized no, no, no. He's saying what I'm trying to explain, and so I don't know if it's because, okay, let me just say it. Star Wars, the whole notion of American definitions of success, as well as the limited scope of what capitalism allows people to dictate who is a winner and who is a loser, which is the whole name of the game. Who has something, usually monetary or source of recognition, or or not, or I was thinking that quote from Yes, the Band of Doors, trade in your hours for a handful of dimes, but it's almost like trading your bits of your soul for your handful of dimes, and that's that real exchange is that time and that energy and that disconnect from self, from true authentic self, and that alienated not just labor but alienated individual consciousness, or union with the collective consciousness. Anyways, it was a great, like, amazing interview, but it made me think of let me explain to you, because I don't know the perfect thing, but if I'm just gonna try to guess in the obscure nonsense that is you, it's all a farce to me. Listen, guys, I tried to go on the elevated, enlightened, hardcore, renouncing all possessions. Like, you stole all my possessions so many times, but I also gave up. It wasn't, you see, I'm able to get things if I want things. I can start to get nice things, even if, it's like, whoa, like, so, somebody painted this, I don't know, but this hand painted painting, and it's very nice, and I own it now. You see, and there's this. I have an entire collection of art, and I have, these things. It's somewhat effortless, or almost miraculous in the way that I can attract stuff. Money not the same. So it proves right there that I had the ability to attract stuff and chose not to do it. Yes, I renounced my possessions. In a strange way, I did that before Star Wars ever started, and I think there was something really significant in that. And in that object that I sacrificed for the notion of aestheticism. And so what I'm saying to you is, I don't hello hello, goldfish speaking. I don't know how to get out of Star Wars, because I don't know the rules of the social expectations and implications of what the fuck you want from me? I don't know. So, when you look at America as, well, we're all in a game. In a sense, we're all in a game. We're all in our own, maybe not Star Wars, but personal rat race or game in America, particularly, but also rampant throughout the world, of this like capitalistic homogeny and mindset, this dogma of capitalism, this worship of the almighty coin and what it all means, and the shiny people with their shiny coins, and they have real pretty hair and real shiny cars, and yet you can't see the reflection. And yet every time they go to adjust their mirror, they're like, dude, where am I? But what a nice driveway. Wow, totally worth that. Underpaid immigrant help. I'm telling you that, yes, in this next year, I'm going to play a different game. I went anarchist, man. I went like total, like much respect, like total, like I went for it. Was like anarchy, baby, like oppose the system, and just like let's get to the quintessence of what is going on, and I gave you nothing but things laying down of countering facts or philosophies or food for thought. Just as I'm a starving artist, I'm giving you food for thought. That's probably where it all went. And not asking for anything back. And then I did that for like 5 years. And it didn't work. So I really believed in what I was doing. There was like a very soulful point to it all. Yeah. And, and it's interesting for me. And then I decided, well, another way, you could just live your life and just do what you want to do. And I thought, well, maybe start a family and have meaning through that. And then that somewhat worked out. And then, now I'm like, okay, I just want to have a good quality of life for myself. I want to have a freedom of spirit and expression, and I want to be, I guess, understood. Like, find the place where I belong. I don't know what that is. Find the place to call home. Find a way to connect to community that's not, authentic or intimidating. Just have these kind of reminders that humanity still exists at all. And so now it's almost it's such an interesting crux that I'm at, because I'm at this crossroads now of coming out of this total existence of philosophy and going into the material, starting to collect this stuff, starting to take part more in societal normalcies and expectations, and I'm seeing that, and I'm looking at my things that have happened this week, where I'm getting more introduced back into the expectations of others, in a sense, or the expectations of what is normal in order to fit into a society that I don't fit that well into at this point. I don't know. And I don't know if what you're saying is that she's trying to be perfect in life. But if you're saying that there's an element of phoniness to it, you're absolutely correct. Oh, no, totally. Dude, if I could exist as a fucking light beam, I would just be like magenta right now. Like, that's what I would do. But in this game that I don't quite understand, as none of us quite understand where the finish line is, or how capitalism really is fulfilling, how human experiences are really, that are valued, are really actually connected to anything of value outside of monetary. This total construct that we dubbed one day. This rock is worth more than this rock, and this metal is worth more than this metal, and we just made it all up. And bronze is just as shiny as gold. I don't know what, and but we decided, and And then not even colors mean everything in every culture. It's sometimes they can contradict as well of what the meaning is. And say like black and evil. Like one would say it's power, the other would say it's evil. Right? So we can't even agree on that color scheme for our cravings of quenching our materialism through a color scheme is like based on this. It's totally different color wheels depending on culture and time frame. So this is consistent. But anyways, so if you're saying she is trying to be, now I'm not trying to be perfect. This is a misnomer. I don't know. You guys come up with this. I think I threw in the towel on that a long time ago. I made like literally like 50,000 tapes, quite literally, with no makeup on. Well, I don't think trying to be perfect is, or like a fucking deer popping in the background, or like some kind of bush, like that is surely poisonous, I don't think trying to be perfect in my reality is definitely not the thing. But if you are sensing striving, you're accurate, because why? It's dark, but it's just a game on it. So I am playing a game. I feel that I have to provide for, just as you are in your lives, if you are part of like trying to kind of wedge your soul into a 9 to 5 or whatever, you are playing a game. And the game is that there's a good trade-off, that you get to be a provider for your family, you get to be a provider for yourself, you get to have stability and security, or these walls, right? Whereas before maybe you didn't have walls at all. Right, and so that right to privacy, and that right to feel safe, and that right to partake in all the illusions above is something that I value, something that you probably value. And so in order to get there, supposing you're not just rich, we have to walk these steps, and sometimes they're not authentic to who we are. They're just kind of what we do. And and this is not, I'm not saying this with any ingratitude, but I've kind of come to this kind of place as well, where it's like, well, what are your real goals? Is it about you have to get the perfect fit for a job for your most expressed, most desired self, or is it that you have another dream? And for me, I know that my next step is not necessarily going to be about, and then I landed a job that was just the quintessence of me, or maybe created my own brand that took off. Say like, I make clothing, and so I have my own clothing brand. Actually, I mean, it's limited, it's like 30 pieces, but it's a fashion line that I created this year, or books, and these are authentic to me. It's truly my expression. It's really what I'm like, I created this, I want to partake in this. I would buy my own products, like I create them because I like them. And so this is one way to kind of bypass that that sacrifice of self for the machine. But I also am like, but that's gonna take time. Now might one day I get a phone call and boom, there we go. Now my greeting cards are sold in Barnes and Noble, dream big, and 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 hopefully a few local shops as well. So if you're saying I sense a striving, well, you always said that, even when I'm like, oh no, I've given up, dude. I'm just here to keep doing this, but in all other purposes, I've given up on humanity. I've given up on the samsara. I can't do it anymore. Like, I'm literally unable to do it, and I went through a long time of that. Like, whoa, of just like, and not unable because I'm not capable. No, I have all the capabilities. It's not lacking a skill set. It's just, I felt that I just needed to create. I just needed to be an artist. I just needed to live and see the world and run like hell from it and change places and get to experience new pockets of world and take that all in. And you see this country by country, town by town by town by town by town by town, and so I'm just wow, this is very it's very interesting to me. Wow. So, what I'm saying to you is, I'm trying to merge two worlds, but it might be that I have to take a capitalistic step in order to, because I'm a mother. So, in order to provide the next stage of the dream, which is like, for me, yes, getting to a house that's just a little bit more meets our needs. Yes, getting to a location where I feel that I belong a little bit more, where my views and where there might be a good community for me to relate to. Not that I can't relate to people here, I can, but also, I mean, heaven forbid you light a candle or some incense, because I expect, like someone to be sharpening their their tools outside for the meeting at my house, with their do you have a lighter? We need to light our torches. No, I don't. No, I don't. Oh, and so if you're sensing that I'm playing a game with you, yeah, like the way that I've been stuck in the infinite jest, so to speak, for so long, and I'm the whole time been laughing at you as well, and so if I listen, I don't want to sacrifice myself to the machine and live in that world, and then that's what I do. No, the goal is to be able to sustain a life that I want through things that I create. Now, you could say that's lofty or arrogant or not going to happen. I see that there are many marketable ways for that to happen, and that's rooted in reality. Yeah, I mean, the products are pretty good. If I can find the right niche and the right thing, actually, yeah, it works. And it's not so avant-garde that it's abstract. No, it's things that you could easily see in this day and age, in our current rhetoric and collective understanding. I mean, it's definitely markets for what I'm doing. It's not so niche that you wouldn't find a large demographic that might be interested. No, easily, the numbers are there. That's not pie in the sky, and that is the goal. But I'm looking at my next steps, and I'm like, well, what are my goals? Well, my next priority, as this lease is coming to an end here, is to upgrade to a different kind of place that meets more of the needs for quality of life, like more nature would be really important to me, and maybe a bit of a you're gonna hear the politics in it. Well, it's okay. A more progressive community tends to be where I'm more understood, and where I understand more, and that makes me have a desire to, join more things. Although it's COVID and it's hard, and I know that, but there are ways, and be part of something a little bit outside of our small little world. So I don't know what the perfectionism thing is. I'm not going for perfectionism. I don't know if this is a body thing, in which case I'm not. This is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I'm just, I want to be healthy. I like to feel strong in my body. That's all that is. I mean, if you think, is that inauthentic? Does that have anything to do with perfectionism? Listen, when I was 13 years old, I was trying to feel strong in my body as well. When I was 10 years old, I was trying to feel strong in my body as well. When I was 5 years old, I was trying to feel strong in my body as well, and I was doing it all through different sports. And I was, by 18 years old, I was starting to go to the gym. And, continuing with the college, just continuing to try to feel strong, going to the gym multiple times a day. A week. And, like maybe 3 times a week or something. And, there's always been that need. Gee, I wonder where that comes from. But it does, I'm not I struggle with the root chakra. I struggle with this for reasons that are obvious, but and so it roots me in a way that otherwise I'll just kind of go more into thoughts or feelings, or even the spiritual realm. So Perfectionism and body is not what I'm going for. I am going for a curvier aesthetic. Why? Because it's all a game. It's all a game. But I have to play your game, I realize. I have to beat you at your own game. See, I keep thinking about what logically makes sense about this whole thing, and I go, well, if you just applied logic, you'd already have your answer. And I keep thinking this game is logical. This has been my downfall. I thought reason would triumph fear, and it didn't, because because this is America 2021, and it's just incredibly systemically sick. And so, even I partake in watching reality TV. All of a sudden I found myself watching this show I don't really want, and I'm like, it's really interesting. And these the ways that media is so huge now has its positive, and it also has its a way of spoon feeding you its agenda through being entertaining and something that you feel is normal, or keeping up with someone else to partake in. Oh, did you see that show last night? And now this is the campfire story that we can have near the water cooler, and this is where we've gotten. And so the narrative of America for perfection wants a perfect body, yes, wants a perfectly painted picket fence, 2.5 children, a dog, a shiny car, and an illustrious career, a good standing in society, but not too intimate. Like, you're not like combing the hair of the homeless or anything. It's like, but you're just with the other pillars, and then maybe do the pardon to also talk to their broke friend on occasion or whatever. But so are you right to sense that there's a game? The whole thing has been the game to me. I played it one way, and it didn't. I both failed to. I had a social theory that I banked on for 5 years, going, but Nietzsche, and it's like, Nietzsche didn't say like. Well, it just did. It actually did work, but I couldn't meet it halfway, and that was that. When you have people coming up promising all these things, whether it's literally a yacht ride, with the trip of all expenses paid to, Monte Carlo, or an offer to come watch the Ferrari show because the Ferrari race car driver who owns several of them wants to date you now. Like, yeah, okay, and to all this stuff, it's like, I got really like pretentiously proud. I was like, fuck the system, and I just kind of raged on it, and it eventually, what I've realized now is that my pride served as a point of protection, and I think it actually did give me refinement of soul. I mean that, but it limited me and ultimately doesn't serve me, because it ends up blocking, like, I'm a proud person, I'll admit, like, of all the sins, this is by far my worst. And it's not, you say it's arrogance, I'm like, it's related, but it's not. That's where I'm kind of like, I don't think it is, but that's not, that's only a section of its nature. I think it's a lot more complicated than that, and that's that, it may have nothing or little to do with you, and that's the mistake you keep making. She thinks she's better than. No. It truly has nothing to do with you, most likely, unless I just think you're a total piece of shit or something. And I don't really care, and I make that judgment, and I just close myself off, and now it's two, and now we're divided. And I'm divisive in that, and that's part of that pride. But it's generally that's not the thing. It's about the pride within me, and this fall is a detriment, because it's like, Buddha is saying, like, this with anger and pride are my two things. Holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot coal, and my ego keeps wanting to go, but I'm justified. But if you don't stick to your pride, and you don't stick to your anger, and you don't stick to the story, even the attachment to the story itself is an interesting bind to be in. Because on one hand, you should kind of like let life move through you, and move through when the scene changes, you should kind of change with that and go to the next, and live in that moment. But when you're in a situation where the whole thing is the story, and it serves a greater purpose that's beyond your ego, it's such a bind, because you can't let go of the story, because it's still it's your fucking job. But at the same time, you have to let go of that attachment to the story, the hung up emotions, and so for me, the two biggest hang-ups from all that compartmentalization of compacted kind of, compacted ash of the destruction of burnt bridges, but also of burnt rivals and flags. It's a hell of a lot of ash in a small space, practically a diamond again, and it and so that's how I would say we're all traumatized. My trauma of enduring some of the more cutthroat aspects, as we all do to a different degree, of surviving, being a survivor of capitalism. A survivor of capitalism. We all have our symptoms from it. We all have our kind of like, it's almost like when people get deprogrammed from a cult, the cult of capitalism, and it's like you have to get pulled back into reality in these increments so that you don't just lose it. So the effects of that are pride and anger for me. And it's not like I was born a particularly angry person or something, but it's quickly, lived life that has a lot of justified reasons to be angry. And so part of my attachment is to hang on to that anger, because it links with the pride, because justice, I want justice, and it's just, no justice, no peace. But unfortunately, it's like creating that lack of peace within me to hold on. So this year, my goal, what I keep seeing for myself, is that in order for me to transcend to a higher level, whatever that means, and you could say leveling up, but leveling up has a lot of things. You could say leveling up, whether it's with creativity or success or reputation or social or spiritual, or whatever. But I think that my New Year's resolution, what I've already started working on, is letting go it's so hard. I don't even like saying it because it pisses me off. Letting go of the anger and pride around the injustice that I've endured or witnessed in others, and I just so want to hold on to that coal and be like, God, like it then does, and then the scars mean something extra then, don't they? And it's because I don't want my letting go to result in an increase in injustice and things that I've seen, or an enabling of it, and that's where I'm quitting. So, pardon me, it's a bit cold out, it's frosty out today, and a bit windy, and so a little bit stiffly, but one second. Okay, pardon me. So, my goal is to, my goal is to release myself this most evolved way I can from external systemic prisons and internal prisons due to lack of perception or ability to perceive. And what I'm running into with me is that I have walls, and they're built by traumas. They're built by it's justified, okay, it's justified, but it doesn't serve. And so that's my goals for this year, letting go of a bit of pride and anger that keep me in judgment, away from, like, say, like for example, I will rebel against being pretty. Actually, you think perfectionism, all this, but I actually do have this rebellion, and it's really hard for me because I go back and forth on it. One part of me is like, well, I like to be an attractive person. The other part's like, fuck that. And there's just so much fuck that in me in so many categories that it can actually keep me from being my best self or keep me from living my best life, and I see that. So I'm not sure, you're saying perfectionism, and I'm like, it's so funny because I have to set goals for myself to just bring more awareness to the blockages that I create between myself and others. And so my New Year's resolution has to do with increasing success, increasing society, and increasing, obviously in COVID-safe ways, that's the tricky part, increasing my muchness, like how this Douglas guy is so much muchness, by getting out of my own way. And those are just, I just take not little goals, those are hard goals, but I have to take only a certain amount of goals at a time so that I make any progress at all. And so those are my main ones. And then of course to be, yes, of good health and how my body feels strong and good. Not to do with, but here's the interesting thing. Your contention is that of someone who preferred the aesthetic of slim, that I had, that the reason, please stop, honey, stop, that the reason that I was a thin person, you had it backwards, I was a thin person and so I made money as a model. I was not wanting to make money and so I became thin. No. And so you had an assumption that I personally preferred a thinner look, but in fact that was what my body was, so there was no preference, that's just what it was. And there are numerous factors for this. Having been a vegetarian for a really long time in my life, or not always being provided with enough to eat, or whatever it is. And so being really broken, maybe not eating what you want to eat, or things that are more full of nutrients that will stick to your body more than some complex cheap carbohydrate that will just cycle through, it will do nothing to me. So, except for just have aspects of it stuck in me for years to come, like the chewing gum syndrome, the urban legend. So, and so perfectionism, nah, I don't have that, but I do strive to be better than I am continuously. For me, I come from a pagan, my whole philosophy comes about perfectionism, actually. It's really more a pagan perspective, which is progress, not perfection. I don't believe that if perfection existed, we would all just do that then. You know what I mean? Like, even Christ had dirty feet. He probably had BO. Like, no disrespect, but I'm just saying, like, he even had days that he was probably like, I'm just in a bad mood, nobody talk to me. Right. So if this is, and I'm just using him as an archetype for what people would say would be probably as close to an archetype of human perfection that we could get to. Even he had imperfection, so how can I possibly believe that the concept even exists? And then that being said, it's like, I don't know if you've ever really observed, but I know you looked at my journals at one point, like against my will, you made photocopies out of context and then maybe added some things in and said, look what it said. And did you ever notice that all my journals had the front page either totally scribbled on or ripped out? Yes, the first thing I do is go, perfection doesn't exist. And I pour that into the first page, and then I fuck up the first page, and I really ruin it. So that whatever follows, it's like there's no pressure for this notebook to in any way be perfect. It just has to be better than that page. Because progress, not perfection. And I really believe in that. I know that for like parenting, like, you give, praise for small increments. You don't sit there and expect that right off the bat they go from, crawling to running or whatever. Sprinting, doing a marathon. You just don't expect that, because it's just, then you get a child that struggles to walk at all. And I also know that when you analyze blessings put into water, that monk who did that famous study, the thing of try to be perfect. I mean, when they photographed that connotation into water, the way that that thought pattern changed water, it was a pretty set like structure, like a snowflake structure, kind of fractal, but it was not complete, and it would never be complete because that striving would make it never complete. So I personally don't believe in I've yet to ever see anything perfect. I've seen movies I can say that was as close to as a perfect movie that I have seen, but even that has always room for improvement. I don't even know if I've ever seen a painting that is truly complete. I know I personally never completed any of my paintings. None of them are done. Like, they're just not. And, so as far as MO of even believe, I don't think I have the ability to believe in perfectionism. I don't see enough evidentiary support. Show me one perfect thing. Even the perfect circle I think it's been done, but has it really, like, do we know on the smallest level of inspection will it be absolutely in line? I don't know, and I don't really care, because if it's that hard to where it's like scientists are dividing atoms to draw this fucking thing, I don't care. It's just too hard. I'm not doing it. That's way too much effort. I don't have that much motivation to get to that level of it. So I don't believe perfectionism exists. I think this video, I just scratched my neck. How much of a perfect video is this? I paused to be like, go blow my nose. This is far from a perfect. I don't think you see perfectionism. I think you see little things that are. You hear noises in the background. I don't even think this displays the perfectionism that you claim. I don't think you have enough evidentiary support. But if you are sensing that I'm playing a game, I am. I'm gonna do, because it's funny, I'm gonna find a way to throw it all back at you and your naysayers, and do my values, and hopefully come out with your more money, honestly, or whatever, but yeah, ultimately more money than you did by doing your path, because that's funny. I mean, that would be cool, and I don't even care about the money. I mean, of course, yeah, I'd like some money, yeah, because it's a lot harder without it. There's a quote, but this was this brilliant person, I believe her name was Sarah Jones, and it said, money doesn't buy happiness, but it can sure keep you from a hell of a lot of unhappiness. Yeah, well, yeah. Because not having it is really difficult. And, so, I'm not sure. I just wanted to feel stronger in my body. I do believe in playing the game. I understood if you just round your hips, dude, you will look rounder and everyone will accept your body, and then that conversation can be done. Well, except for, like, the bitter person who's probably like 500 pounds, who's like skin and bone, but whatever. So it's not really a perfectionism strive. No, I think I can get it good enough is the point to do that whole thing, and I think I can get a car shiny enough to throw it all back at you, and I think I can get diamonds that are authentic enough, or silver or amethyst is authentic enough to throw it all back at you, and that's a fun game. It's a fuck you to the system in a different way, and I just so there's no perfectionism striving. There is the same thing. I have an attitude problem, and it is heavily rooted in fuck you. And that is, I'm working on it. The only thing I can think of is just keep awareness on it, watch its effects on things, and keep meditating with it. Maybe do some Buddhist talks on it, because otherwise, it's very deeply rooted. I mean, it's rooted down there, and that fuck you is not always helpful. God, I feel it. Like, of just the whole machine. Like, if I could tip it over, I would. If I could set us all back to zero, I would. There was a big red button right now that said, let's just flip the script and just everybody goes back and starts over. It's not like I'm trying to rob you, no, but we don't have to commune together to build us all back up, right? Any credit card debt back to zero or whatever, and I would do that. Yeah, and I would be a Robin Hood too. If I'm being honest. Yeah, I think it's funny. No moral qualm, really. Not really. And, but the thing is capitalism is a hydra, and you take down one mega company and another one will come in its place because it's like a spirit unto itself, right? It really is. And I don't really think that there is a true exercising of it. I think it will always exist. Even if capitalism doesn't exactly, I think that spirit is, it's just the spirit of greed, isn't it? The covetous greed and division, fear and division. Yeah, it's just one of those spirits, one of those strong illusions. So I leave you with Bill Hicks, and to say, it's just a ride. It's just a ride. This ride has a lot of noise. What is it? I don't know it verbatim, but thrills and lights. It's very bright and it's very loud, but it's just a ride. And some people look at you and say, but I've got a lot invested in this ride. Look at my look at my family and my furrows of worry. Look at my bank account. But it's just a ride. And he said, you ever realize what we do to people who try to tell us that? We kill those people and the demons run amok. Fucking Bill Hicks. Well. And so I guess that's, I think you're assigning a lot more shallow attributes to me. I do have my bouts of shallowness, but then I'm a Capricorn, so we're like the shallow side of deep. But I think you're assigning a lot more attributes. Excuse me, stop that. To me, because that's the shallow attributes are the shallow understandings that this culture, you want me to be like you because that makes you more comfortable, and then you can quantify if I'm a winner or a loser. You just really want me to play the game so you can first quantify it, and that's been the whole problem. Is I'm like, nah, I don't want to play the game, and you're like, play the game. We need to evaluate your where are you really excuse me, stop, honey. You need to stop. You do it again, you're going in timeout. No, I'm seriously going to go in timeout. So, as there's shoes and chips like coming my way. And so I'm saying that, you believe whatever you want. It's whatever. But do I think I also have to be who I am? Do I kind of realize that life unfolds the way it does, and we learn certain skill sets we might not realize, like the bigger point to any of it. We will go through our lives. Why was I a sociology major, and why did I want to learn about the environment so much, and why did I have this experience, and why was I friends with this person who told me this, and why did that song move me into the direction of this or whatever, and when you look at that, you have to put those pieces of your past together to also form who you are now. No matter how you've transformed, but there's reasons these things happen and unfolded the way that they did, so listen to them. And so I honor my background and going, you do have a background in entertainment and marketing, dude. So it must be a part of you. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It really is. I get it. I get why that hasn't appealed to me. And I get it. And that's authentic to myself. But, it's, I guess that's what I'll say. But thank you so much for having this interview, because I just feel like when I talk to people who are a bit more evolved, or get an opportunity to say, like, read something or listen to an interview or a podcast or whatever, that does really have something of substance to say, like, things connect, and you go, oh, here we are tapping into a greater truth together, and so then all of a sudden it can apply to your story as well. So anyways, perfectionism. I guess my question is, what? Draw a perfect circle. Prove your existence and draw a perfect circle, and until you can, drop the subject. No, for real. Those two things, you gotta do them, and until you can, nobody brings this shit up again.